Hey there everyone, this is Synobyte 8 Gamer here. I know it's been a long time since I've been uploading videos since YouTube kinda got a little weird. But anyway, I'm here to show you the easiest ways to kill the Jumbotron and GoldenTrophy enemies with no problems at all. Let's start with GoldenTrophy real quick. So the recommended weapon, if the recommended weapon would be either a bow or one of these two crossbows. Well, not this crossbow, golden trophy, but Crimson Cauldron would be. Let's see the goblins. Oh yeah, this room I'm in right now. This room I'm in is in a testing AI map made by, well, originally supposed to be Mad, but changed my name to Berserker Boss. And funny thing is, this is actually my main account. This is just since I don't really have any YouTube things on this account, I'm just using it on my secondary account or well, my dad's account. So let's get right to it. Let's start off with the goblins. Now these guys don't really do much except for run after. These guys don't really do much except for running after you. So the recommended would be in the range. Oh god! Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Yeah. The recommended thing for those goblins would be ranged, considering that they just charge right after you, don't really do anything much except for running after you. So the recommended would just be ranged, but if there's a little too many and you're in a confined space, the most recommended would be to go up on a high place and just take them out one by one. If there's a lot after you, I'd recommend you go to a high place just so you don't get cornered and eventually destroyed by those goblins, especially for the raging goblins. These guys are a lot harder to kill and are much faster. They take about 3 hits to kill with a bow. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. They take about 3 hits each to kill with a bow. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, why are those there? Yeah, the ranging goblins are twice as fast as a normal goblin and have a lot more health. They take about 3 hits to kill with a bow and arrow, or any type of bow and arrow at full charge. And if there's a bunch after you, I don't have anything else to say other than just high place. Anything that runs after you, my spots, goblins, or shield goblins, just get up to a high place just so you don't get cornered when you're running away from them. Next up on the list is a lobber goblin. These guys just shoot stuff. These guys are basically like a normal goblin, except they just shoot stuff at you. Best bet is to just stay as far away from them as possible, and with good accuracy, try and take them out with a bow. Or a crossbow, whatever you're going to be using in your run. If there's a bunch after you, I'd recommend doing like moving from side to side while shooting at them. That's just the best way to take them out. Now the shield goblins. These ones are. Come on, you can get over the ramp. These ones are basically normal goblins, but with shields that can actually deflect bullets, but you can still shoot them. You can still kill them, even when you're shooting the shield, but it'll take much longer to kill them. The best bet is to just stay as far away from them as possible and try to shoot them over the shield. Now, next up is the flying goblins, or imps, as most people like to call them. These guys are basically normal goblins with that fly around and shoot stuff like you, and shoot stuff at you. Much like the lobber goblins, but a little more harder. They take about 2 hits to kill, just like these goblins. And if there's a bunch after you, I'd recommend you stay behind something and shoot the goblins that pop out of the pillar that you're standing behind. Now the next goblins are raging flying goblins. These guys are exactly like the normal flying goblin, except they are red and take about 3 hits to kill with a bow and shoot 5 bullets at a time. They're fairly easy to kill as long as you're pretty good at dodging stuff, but if there's a lot after you, best bet is just to stay behind something, much like you should do with the normal goblins, except to be a lot more cautious. Now, as you can see, I have a health bar at the bottom of my screen, but if you're new to the quest, you won't have that health bar, and once you get hit once, you have to restart. But if you're with multiple people, then you get hit and you're downed, and you can be revived by your other friends. But if they all go down, then you have to restart the quest all over again. Now, the next one, which is basically a Crimson Cauldron exclusive, is the Witch. These guys, you have no other choice other than to use a sword. And the reason why you need to use a sword is you need to hit those purple spheres back at them. You can't do anything else. You can slice them, you can shoot them, but to no avail. You have to use a sword and bounce the balls back at them. Which is kind of a neat concept, meaning you have to use both weapons in Curse of Crimson Cauldron, but it can get a little tricky if multiple enemies are after you. Now on to my 2 favorite enemies, the Barrel Knights. These goblins are much like the, sorry, I can't get over the stupidity in this. These guys are much like the normal goblins, except they're a lot slower, they're in a barrel, and they charge after you. They're fairly slow until they bring out that axe and charge straight for you at max speed. These ones are much like the Witch, except you can't shoot them or slice them or do really anything except for hit that target on their back. That's the only way to kill them. They take about 4 hits with a bow and arrow. They take about 4 hits with a bow and arrow. At max charge. Now, most other people I meet in quests, they like to use their sword to fight them, kind of like this, because there's like a glitch and stuff. But me personally, I like to keep it safe and just use my bow, since I'm more of a ranged person than a charging person when it comes to those quests. On second thoughts, with the raging barrel lights, they're not that hard. They just spin around, but they can catch you off guard when you're the first time doing a quest. And I hate it when they do that. There's a glitch with these ones where if you shoot them while they're in the middle of like doing their spin move, they keep their axe out, and that can be a real doozy when it comes to soloing GoldenTrophy or Crimson Cauldron, because when you try to like dodge it, see like that, I would have been down right there. It sucks. that's all I have to say about it. It sucks. And I believe they take about 6 hits to kill. Dang it. Like that. That's what sucks about those types of enemies. So my recommended technique is to wait till they stop spinning and then shoot them. You know, just like a little patience game. Like that. That's my recommended, but if there's multiple enemies after you, say like a Raging Goblin, and a Spinning Barrel Knight, I recommend that you, I recommend instead of going after the knight first, take down the ads. Alright, let me just kill this dude first. Alright, those are all the goblins. Now, let's move on to the robots in the Rise of Jumbotron. So, my recommended is a laser railgun and a laser shotgun. But you don't really get that until like halfway into the game. So, right now, a laser pistol and a laser burst gun. So, let's start with the Batbot. These ones are much like the flying goblins, except they shoot about 3 lasers at a time, and they are a little android. They take about 2 hits in the screen when it comes to Jumbotron, but in laser tag they take about 3 hits. when there's a whole bunch of them, I recommend you just like stay behind something, and after done shooting, just try and unload as many bullets as you can into one of the robots. Kind of like that. Now the Dreadbots. These are basically the exact same as the Batbots, except they're on ground level and they shoot one bullet at a time. They are also fairly accurate. When there's multiple in one area, just when there's multiple in one area, just kind of behind something. Stay behind something, kind of like this box right here, and just shoot at them and follow the dodging bullets. Now the mice bots. These ones are basically like a normal goblin. They just charge at you, and once they're really close, they just explode. The recommended bullet for those, the recommended gun for those is either the burst gun or the shotgun, because if there's a lot of them coming after you, you could just use the shotgun to take them out. Shotgun really works when they're all grouped up, because you can shoot multiple at a time with the shotgun. Next is the assassin tank. Now this thing is basically much like a barrel knight, except for charging or spinning at you when you're in the laser sight. It just shoots at you. It's not really that accurate, but when you shoot anywhere, it barely does any damage except for this little battery pack right here. When you shoot that, it automatically locks onto you and starts shooting. So now the two enemies that I hate with a passion: the Elite Batbot and the Elite Shredbot. Let's start with the Elite Batbot. My recommended weapon is the laser railgun. These ones are much like the normal Batbots, except they're a little bit faster and they shoot 5 bullets at a time. They take about 3 hits with a railgun bullet. And when there's multiple, the only option is to stand behind something and wait till they're done shooting, and just unload one, and just take out the other after that is. Now, this one. These I hate with a passion in Jumbotron. They shoot 5 bullets at a time. They're much like the elite, the raging flying goblins, because they shoot 5 shots at a time, but they do that 3 times. They shoot 5 bullets at a time, and they can be really troubling at most points. And when there's multiple, your only option is to do the same thing you do with the Elite Batbots. Just try and stay behind something. And then there's a lot after you. Oh. When there's a lot after you, that can be really troubling. I'm surprised I actually lived at that. But yeah, when there's a whole bunch of you, you basically, Clyde, no. Yeah, when there's a bunch after you, you might as well say your prayers now, because you're most likely gonna die unless you're experienced, and it can be really troubling. That's all I have to say. And yeah, that's basically all I have to say with the Jumbotron and the GoldenTrophy robots. Well, the GoldenTrophy enemies, and the best way to actually fight them. Now, I will do another one of these with the Isle of Lost Skulls and Crescendo enemies when Coach actually decides to update the game and put the Eye of Lost Skulls enemies and Crescendo enemies into the actual game, well, actual spawner gadget,